Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Much like a bad rash or an octogenarian in Congress, you just can't get rid of me. But it's a new year, and while I'm a solid 2 months late, I figured it's a good time to talk about goal setting and all that jazz. I also wanted to get this video out on March 1st, but the new webcam I bought, while having a higher resolution than my phone camera, has a lower frame rate, so I had to re-record and post for this week. You also might have noticed that I have upgraded my microphone, so let me know how that sounds in the comments. Do I sound better, clearer? Is it the same? Do I sound horrendous? Let me know. And though personally I don't actually like New Year's resolutions because I think you should be able to make a change in your life without waiting for an arbitrary date on the calendar, but I know some people do make goals when a new year comes around, so allow me to lay out what I would like to accomplish here in the year of 2025. Before that though, here's an update on my overall word count on the current project. Progress has been agonizingly slow, but as the saying goes, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Apparently, the last time I posted a video was on August 24th, 2024, so roughly half a year ago. And in that video, my total word count stood at 51,519 words. As of filming this video, which is a day before it will be posted, the total word count is currently 81,309 words. I will hopefully obviously be writing a lot more during the weekend because that tends to be when I can, put forth the time for that kind of output. So I've still been writing, just not very much, but I finally feel like I'm in a spot to turn the corner on that issue. I've come to terms, mostly, with the fact that I just can't write as fast as I once could. And if that's just the way things are going to be, then I need to set myself to a pace that is manageable and not overshooting and therefore getting overly stressed when I don't meet an unsustainable pace. And as always, minimal progress is better than no progress, even though that's very difficult for me to take to heart. But with that out of the way, here are my aggressively optimistic goals for this year. Finish writing The Echoes of Eternity by mid-August. Obviously, that's the biggest goal because that is the book I'm currently working on. That is the sequel to The Broken God, which I completed in 2021, and we are now 4 years later, so the sequel needs to get done this year or I'm afraid it's never going to happen. As I just mentioned about setting a pace that is reasonable, I had actually wanted to try to have this done by the end of June, but I realized, I need to admit, I'm not going to meet that mark, hence why I moved it back to mid-August. I'm obviously just a far slower writer than I used to be, which is an issue that has its own host of reasons, and it's better to acknowledge your limitations than act like they don't exist. Next up is to revise The Broken God in August and September. This may seem like a pretty short timeline for a revision of a 200,000 word book, but the book is already in a good spot, so I don't anticipate having too rough of a time on this revision. Once that's finished, of course, I will then need to get some actual beta readers and receive feedback. So if you are interested, please let me know in the comments. After that one, I plan to take October through December to revise The Echoes of Eternity. I want to give myself a full 3 months on this one because this will be the first pass and the first revision, so I need time to both read the whole work and take notes and then start enacting the changes. Realistically, this is the hardest item to plan for because I won't fully know how much time I need to revise until I'm actually finished with the project. Currently, since I'm in the thick of writing, I feel like half of what I'm doing is hot garbage, but once I finish and am able to set it aside for a bit, get some distance from it, my attitude may shift when I come back and read it, see that it might be better than I thought, but it also could be worse than I thought. Who knows? Although I do think optimistically in this case that my attitude will grow more favorable and that will allow me to feel better about the overall quality once I've gotten some time away from the project, once it's completed. No matter what though, it's completely fine and normal for a first draft to suck. Simply persevering is half the battle. The other half is knowing.
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe!
Now, assuming all of this goes according to plan, which it might not, I would want to have beta reader feedback on The Broken God by December 15th. At the end of the month, I would then send The Echoes of Eternity out to the beta readers, and then I plan to spend at least part of December beginning to outline for book 3, which currently has a working title of An Elegy for All Souls. I don't know that I love that title, hence why it's a working title. I like the word elegy because I like the lamenting feel of it. However, would the word lament work better, or dirge, or any other kind of somber, sad, musical type thing? I also like having souls in the title because that's pretty relevant to the whole theme of the trilogy, but I'll work on that one and kind of figure out where I want to go with it, see if I like the name, And I'm not gonna get too hung up on the name though until I actually start writing the book, and I feel like that's what you should do. While all that sounds great, goals are only as good as your commitment to actually achieving them. Setting goals is really easy. Fulfilling them is really hard. Sometimes telling people about your goals can actually give you the same satisfaction as actually completing them. So remember that following through on the goals you set is more important than talking about them. And if you're someone who falls into that trap, write your goals down for yourself, keep them somewhere that you can look at frequently, and tell no one else. And this goes for anything you want to accomplish, not just writing a book. Of course, it's not enough to simply have a goal. You need to build habits that allow you to fulfill that goal. Writing a story, even a short one, will often take more than one sitting, and obviously it's going to take a lot of sittings if you're writing a complete novel. So establishing a habit of writing every day, or as often as you are able, because everyone's life is different, is essential. Since writing takes a while, and since it's easy to lose steam and feel discouraged at times, it's important to stick to those habits that will advance you toward completing your goal. It's just like making a change in your diet and exercise routine. Losing 30 pounds doesn't happen overnight, squatting 400 pounds doesn't happen overnight, and writing a book doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, that means you first need to establish your desired outcome. I have found throughout life that when it comes to creative endeavors, most people just start off too broad. You might want to learn how to paint or play guitar or crochet or whatever, but those are pretty nebulous statements because they're undefined. Learning to play a few chords on guitar technically does accomplish the aforementioned goal, but that's generally not what someone means when they say they want to learn to play guitar. Basically, if you're going to set a goal, you need to actually define the goal and lay out a plan to achieve it. One method for that is to establish a SMART goal for your project. Now, if you're like me, you might be initially turned off by something like that because it's often used as a convenient buzzword in the working world, but I actually don't mind the SMART framework. If you've never heard of SMART, it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If you have heard of SMART, it still means those same things. The purpose of this framework is to get someone to actually write down a goal and flesh out how they plan to achieve it. This can help you figure out how to clearly define a long-term goal and lay out the short-term goals that will allow you to complete the overarching project. Here's an example of a goal. I want to write a book. A lot of people have thought this at least once in their lives, but they quickly get discouraged because they don't know how to begin. The goal is simply too broad and therefore feels insurmountable. Let's take a look at the SMART framework then to flesh out this goal from something pretty nebulous to something achievable. Starting with specific, you got to lay out something that you want to accomplish as clearly as you can. So not just saying I want to write a book, but saying I will write an epic fantasy novel of at least 200,000 words. Next is measurable. How will you actually measure progress toward your overall goal? For me, this means I will write at least 500 words per day and a minimum of 5,000 words per week. When I've completed the book, I will then solicit reader feedback to see if the story is successful. For achievable, is this goal feasible for you to accomplish? For me, it is feasible to accomplish. I've written 2 complete novels. One was 150,000 words and one was 200,000 words. Setting aside time to write every day ensures I'm always working toward the overall word count goal. And since this is my 3rd novel, I'm accustomed to the whole process of starting a novel and seeing it to completion. Next is relevant. Why do you want to accomplish this goal? What is compelling you to do this thing? For me, writing a novel is incredibly relevant because I want to be a full-time author. That is my lifelong dream, always has been, always will be. And I would like to make that my full-time job one day. And then finally, time-bound. How long will it take you to achieve your goal? Since I'm setting this weekly minimum goal of 5,000 words, and my overall goal is 200,000 words, this would put the entire project as taking roughly 40 weeks to complete. So putting that all together, we get a SMART goal that reads, over the course of 40 weeks, I will write an epic fantasy novel of at least 200,000 words. This will be accomplished by writing a minimum of 500 words per day and a minimum of 5,000 words per week. Since my goal is to be a published author, making consistent progress on a daily and weekly basis is essential to completing the project in a manageable time frame. And there you have it, a pretty ill-defined goal, writing a book, made into a much more definable, achievable series of steps to get you to an end product that you are hopefully satisfied with. And of course, when it comes to writing a book, finishing the book is the satisfying part, frankly. Obviously, like I've said many times, the first draft can be bad. That's okay. As much as it pains me, I'm not gonna get it perfect the first time. Now, obviously, I'm cheating a little bit because I'm already in the project, so I'm not starting from week 1, writing for 40 weeks, getting 200,000 words. This should, though, help keep me on track with that 5,000 word minimum progress per week. If you're struggling to get started writing, I suggest you do take a crack at this framework, as this will help you lay out the steps and keep yourself on track toward accomplishing what you want. Of course, there will be times that you stumble. That's totally normal. I've certainly not adhered to my own SMART goal for this book so far because I wanted this book to be done in like 2023, so obviously I'm a little behind. But the important part is that you don't lose sight of what you want to achieve, and having a fleshed out goal can at least help you stay on the right track. So that is it for today. I am also obviously interested in hearing about anything that you want to accomplish here in 2025. Do you want to write a book? Do you want to write a short story? Do you want to read more books? Do you want to do something that's not book related? That's totally fine too. This channel is open to all sorts. But no matter what constructive goal you have in mind for this year, I hope that you accomplish it, because I like to have good things happen for other people. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and maybe subscribe if you're not subscribed yet to the channel. Leave a comment if you would like to talk about your goals, if you would like to talk about my goals. Also, if you didn't enjoy this video, please still consider doing all those things, because I am wanting to hear criticism if there's criticism to be had. As always, thanks for stopping by. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you here in the next video.